in every one of us. It's in you, and 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 me. I love that video so much. David Pomeranz. Our universe is not a dual reality. What more is there to say? If we could remember that, and if we could live from that place, oh my goodness, how beautiful. But we forget. We forget ourselves. Our neighbors forget. People on the other side of town forget, and on and on and on. People in the next state, the next country. We hold ourselves in so much division, protecting the little space of earth that we think we have some control over. And we do have control over some things, but we don't have nearly as much control as what we think. I know I've told you this joke 80,000 million times, but it just stands to be retold. There's someone walking around, Mike. I don't know if it's someone that needs this or not. So, the 80,000 million times joke. The group of scientists that come together and they have figured out how to create everything, and they decide that they don't need God anymore. Remember that joke? No? Oh, good. It's one of my favorites. So if I tell you now, you'll forget again in a few months, and I can tell it again. So the group of scientists, they have just figured out how to clone everything. They've got it down. They can do it. And so they decide they're going to call in God and let God know that God's just not necessary anymore. He, old paradigms, can go take a vacation. Take a well-deserved rest. We've got it handled from here. And God says, oh, okay, really? Okay. Okay, well then let's have a contest. Let's see who can create the fastest and the best. And so the scientists take on the challenge. And one of the scientists leans over, picks up a handful of dirt, and says, okay, we're ready. And God says, no, you go get your own dirt. You go get your own dirt. We think we have control. What we have control over is how we show up in the world. What we have control over is who we choose to be in the world, how we respond to the activities of the world. We see what's going on. We react to what is going on, whatever it may be, throughout history, throughout our lifetimes, in this present moment, in this present time. But we still get to choose how we are going to respond. And remember that our universe is not a dual reality. One presence, one power, one God. That's what we have control over, is our responses. And then we pay attention and we listen to what is ours to do in the world. To take whatever action we are called to take, and at the same time, still remembering always to the very best of our ability that the universe is not a dual reality, that there is that one presence and there is that one power. From that place, we are we are energized. From that place, we are empowered. What we want to do is to raise our vibration. Remember, we live in a vibrational universe. We want to raise our vibration to the reality of how we want to feel. Now, if you're already feeling how you want to feel, awesome, go ahead and raise it some more and increase that vitality and that knowing, right? Don't stop. Always reaching for that higher level of vibration. But what we want to do is we want to match our vibration to the vibrational force of that which we desire. So I'm sharing today with some words from Abraham, who I haven't used in a while. Abraham is a collective that is channeled through Esther Hicks. This was from October 1996. Slow down, clear your mind, and come to the truth, and come to the truth that lives in your heart. There you will see that our universe is not a dual reality. There you will see that there really is just one energy in the world, love. And there you will see that all the hate, violence, and anxiety results from a lack of love. There is not a source of not well-being. There is not a source of sickness. There is just the disallowance of wellness. In every particle of the universe, there is that which is wanted and the lack of it. Come to the truth that lives in your heart, that there is only one energy in the world, and that is love, and everything else is made up of our egoic resistance and our need to be right and our need to try to control, again, whatever part of reality that we can control. And why is that? Well, there are all sorts of theories. I would say answers, but answer would say that that's, answers can be thought of as definitive. And I don't think that it's definitive. I think we're always on a growing edge of realizing more and more of the fullness of who we are and who we can be. But we were brought onto planet Earth with this beautiful thing called free will. So we get to choose whether we're happy or sad, whether we're happy or miserable. We just get to choose. I am so well trained in my, in my age, I don't really want to say age, but in history of all of the beautiful writings that came out of World War II. And one of my favorites is Corrie ten Boom. And the other wonderful writers that would write about the horrors of being in a Nazi concentration camp, and yet from that place, realizing the essence of who they were. Coming closer to an understanding of their spiritual wholeness in the midst of all of the travesty. We go, well, how can that be? How can people do that? And yet they do it time after time after time. Corrie ten Boom, who I just mentioned, again, I have told you this story because I love it so much, but she and her sister, they were from, oh my gosh, Sweden? No. Anyway, never mind that. I'm recording, just ignore all that. I'll remember later. Her family were helping people to escape. They were helping Jewish people escape the Nazis. And ultimately her family was arrested. They were from Amsterdam. And her family was arrested and they were put in a concentration camp. And she and her sister were in the same camp. And they would hold prayer meetings for the people in their barracks. And this particular barracks was just riddled, infested with fleas. It was horrible. This is out of one of her books where she tells this story. And it was so bad, they never complained about it because the soldiers, the German soldiers, would not come into that barracks. It was so bad that they were left alone. And they found a way to live with the fleas and to be able to do the spiritual work that they were called to do. Taking a horrible situation and remembering that our universe is not a dual reality. In spite of the hate that was around them, they chose to stay in love. And we're called to do that in our lives. Kelly, I think, was it you that posted on Facebook, it came up on my feed too, we belong to a lot of the same groups, of the monk who went out to the middle of the lake to meditate. Was that you this morning? Yes. And I love this story. It's such a good one, of the monk who went out to the middle of the lake to meditate. He climbed into his rowboat, sitting blissfully out in the middle of the lake, all alone, in his zone, in his meditation, and all of a sudden he felt something bump his boat. And he was out there alone, and it's like, what? And so, of course, he was disturbed by the bumping of his boat. And so he just noticed the disturbance, and he continued to meditate, and then the boat was bumped again, and then he started feeling the anger rise within him that somebody in another boat was bumping up against his boat, and why would they do that? And he found himself getting angry and irritated, and when he opened his eyes, it was an empty boat that had come untied from the shore. And it was in that moment that he realized that the anger was within him. There was nothing outside that was causing his anger. We cannot react in anger unless it is something that is already within us. The same thing with love and joy and anything. It is first within us. And the story goes that changed his perception and took that teaching out into life. Whenever someone would annoy him, he would go, oh, they're just an empty boat. Look at that empty boat. I don't have to let that disturb me. I can still get on with what is mine to do in the world. That doesn't mean that we sit passively by, but that we simply pay attention to what is most important, and that is the source of our being, which is love. Oh, turn it on. I choose to be happy. We get to choose to be happy. It's a choice. And I know you know this, but it's so good to be reminded in those times when life is showing up as a lemon instead of lemonade. We cannot be what we need to be in the world, which is part of being a healing faction to the world. And the truth is, the world is quite fine. it's humanity on it, those silly little beings walking and running around all over the place with free will that are causing the havoc, whatever that may look like. I mean, it may be a bunch of very joyful, extremely spiritual people having such a good time that they're disturbing the neighbors who are trying to get some sleep, right? You could be doing the best thing in the world and still be annoying to somebody. They get to choose how they're going to respond. We get to pay attention to do and live the best life that we can live, to raise our vibration to that which we desire. You can move much more swiftly and effectively toward the joyous success you seek in life by giving your attention and emphasis to the way you want to feel, or to your state of being rather than to the action. Abraham goes on to say, there is no risk for you out there on the leading edge ever. And when you come to understand the true nature of well-being in which you have come forth, then you can relax and begin to enjoy this magnificent adventure. You get to choose that. And you can't get it wrong. And you can never get it done. It's one of the most common sayings. You can't get it wrong, and you can never get it done. We're always evolving. We're always moving forward. Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin's song, Living in the Heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. Always, 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 and forever. If you find that your emotions are not how you want them to be, if you're sad and you can't get to exuberant, at least come up to okay. You don't have to make wild, crazy jumps. You don't need to get a gold medal in spiritual Olympics in one fell swoop. Start with where you are and find that next best feeling. Find that next best vibration. And I know you all have tools for that. I know you do. The most easiest one is just stop and breathe from your heart. And remember to remember who you are. If you never get anything more done than that, that is enough. That and Meister Eckhart, who said the only prayer you ever need is thank you. Remembering your gratitude will bring you up, out, and into the light, into that next highest vibration. Remember, you can choose to be happy. And so it is. And